Coach, appreciate you doing this. I want to start with going into year 11. How would you assess really the state of the program right now with all the success you've had and really with the new era of the college football playoff as well?
Well, I think the first thing is, in some ways, it's almost sad that like 11 years at one program in college football is the exception rather than the norm. But I think we're in a great place, and I think it starts with our athletic director and Pat Kraft. He's been phenomenal. He's a football guy, played in the Big Ten, so I think that's been really valuable. And then I think about our coordinators. We're really excited about the three coordinators that we have. Andy Koltnicki on offense and what he's been able to do over his career, and specifically the last 2 years at Kansas, being explosive, which was an area that we needed to get better at. Tom Allen, just with his experience in the Big Ten, and then Justin Lustig, who's a PA guy and has been one of the more respected special teams coordinators in college football.
I know you're a guy who plans for everything, so interested to hear how the new look Big Ten with the West Coast teams has impacted or changed your strategy at all, whether it comes to recruiting, just the more national approach.
Yeah, I think the big thing I would say is travel. Yeah. As you know, when you're one of the more Northeast teams, there's a challenge that comes from that, but then it's also challenging when you don't have an international airport. So really spending a ton of time on what's going to be the best way for us to do it. We're not able to fly out of State College. We're going to have to fly out of Harrisburg, so that creates some challenges as well. So making sure we've done our homework. You look at East Coast teams, whether it's NFL or college, going west. The records aren't great, so making sure we're doing everything we possibly can to put our team in the best position to be successful. And obviously we're going to one of the more storied programs in college football in USC and playing at the Coliseum. So I think there's a lot of excitement about it, but there's some challenges too.
Your new offensive coordinator, you mentioned, Andy Koltnicki. You've now been around him for 6-7 months on campus and coaching your guys. What do you think is his best skill set when it comes to coaching an offense?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's still a relationship-based game. And I don't really care what industry you're in. It's typically about relationships. And he's been able to really come in, bond with our staff and bond with our players and build relationships. And then he's got a scheme that really, in a lot of ways, takes a lot of pieces of things that we've done over my 11 years at Penn State and kind of puts them all together. And I think he's done a really good job of teaching a system and the why. Like, I think players play fast and play with more passion and more confidence when they understand the why. Why are we running this scheme? How does this play connect to this play? And why does this make us challenging to stop?
You hired Tom Allen as your defensive coordinator. How helpful has it been for you to have another voice who's been a head coach on your staff?
Well, I think, to be honest with you, at this stage, I think there'll be times where that pops up, but at this stage, he's going from being a head coach for 7 years back to being a defensive coordinator. So most of our time has been on that. I think there's a lot of power in the fact that Tom didn't need to take a job. He wanted to choose the right place that was the right fit for him. He spent a lot of time on that. We did the same thing with him. Because the other thing is we don't need to recreate the wheel. Been pretty good. So, we're going to allow you to come in and make some tweaks, obviously. But he also had to be comfortable in coming to Penn State and saying, okay, what doesn't need to change? What can we keep the same? Andy's done the same thing as well, so you don't have the players starting all over again.
Drew Allar's proven that he can be a big-time quarterback in the Big Ten. But you mentioned it, still have to be more explosive on offense. What are the things that you guys are going to do in training camp to kind of get more explosive, put him in those situations, and what do you want to see out of him?
Yeah, so, I think the first thing I'll say is you're talking about a guy that was a first-year starting quarterback. I think that broke the national record for consecutive completions. I think he had the #2 touchdown to interception ratio in the country. So it's interesting that that's not the narrative, right? But when you're in a place like Penn State where the expectations are so high, it's playing your best when your best is needed most. And that's us as a program, not just our quarterback. He's done a phenomenal job all off season throwing as much as we possibly can. And I think we've done a better job of blending that in with our strength program. So it's not one of these days you plan on throwing, but then you ran a ton in the workout and nobody's got anything left in the tank to go out and throw the way you want to throw. So I think collectively we've done a much better job of incorporating all those things. But then it's about, throwing the ball with accuracy and on time, because the more you do that, you create opportunities for run after the catch, and then making plays for them. And that's at the tight end position as well as wide receiver.
What do you think is going to surprise people the most about your team in 2024?
Yeah, surprises, I'm not sure. I will say the question out there and the narrative out there is wide receiver plays, the question mark. We got a ton of confidence in those guys. They've had a great offseason. It's not a talent issue whatsoever. I think playing well early in the season is going to be really important, and then we'll take that confidence and run with it the rest of the season.
Last question for you. Day one training camp, you're going to meet with the whole team. What's going to be your message to your guys about 2024?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we are talented enough and have the appropriate amount of depth and size and experience to win every game on our schedule. But what we got to do is it's not just about talent. It's how do we become the best team that we possibly can be to win every game on our schedule. And it's starting going on the road to West Virginia, which is not going to be easy play to open the season. But that's what it's about. It's, hey, guys, you guys have done all the right things in the offseason. We're talented enough to do the things we want to do. Now we got to become the best team.
Great. Appreciate it, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you. Always great to see you.